This is Andi Purewal for Boxing Social in association with Betfred. I'm delighted to be joined by former IBF World Champion Darren Barker here in London. Darren, firstly, how are you?
Very well, thanks, mate. It seems a long time since we last done an interview, or we last had a boxing show. To be fair, this place seems weird, being back in the Hilton after all the fight camp shows that we had here. So yeah, otherwise, I'm good, mate.
I'll let you know, Darren, Eddie and Coogan aren't very happy with us because Coogan was using my light on his interview and I had to pull it away to come and use it on you.
Might get the elbow then, mightn't I?
Well, hopefully not, Darren.
I'll be coming for you, mate.
Mate, there's always a work for you at Boxing Social. Away from, obviously, that side of things, we're here in London, as you mentioned, Jacobs-Ryder. You know John inside out. I know you're very close to him and that gym. How much pressure is there on him to be successful on Saturday night? Because people look at this as a crossroads fight for both men.
I asked John this question. I said, you basically said if I don't win this, good chance I won't fight again. As that added pressure on this, he says, no, not really. If anything, he's giving me the extra percentage I need. He's working harder than he ever has in the gym, and look, that's kind of pressure, if you like, can make or break someone. And knowing John, I've sparred hundreds of rounds with him. He's mentally very tough. He's had it hard. He's learnt the hard way, and that toughens you up. And I think we've seen that with JR. So there is pressure, mate. I don't feel Jacobs will feel the pressure either. He's been in some big situations, scenarios where he's had to call on his experience, and he's come through in flying colours. Look, you just got to look at his life, if I'm honest. You go back to the Dimitri Pirog defeat, then to get diagnosed with the illness that he had, and then to come through it, and then to achieve what he achieved after. He's made of, mental toughness too. So I don't think... I understand where the question's coming from, but I don't think either of these will feel that pressure Saturday night.
Darren, John's obviously had a difficult time through the pandemic trying to get a big fight. Since Callum Smith fight, he's found it difficult. He's looking at the potential Bivol fight. He went out to Texas as a potential replacement for Billy Joe if he never fought Canelo. There's been all sorts which just haven't fell for him. Daniel Jacobs' last fight wasn't the best performance against Gabe Rosado. Going into this one, people are still questioning, is it a matter of who's got more left, or in a worse case, who's more shot, as what people have said? Is that how you look at it?
Yeah. I think that's a fair assessment, really. Who's got that extra percentage left in them? Yeah, it's fair enough. Look, Jacobs was flat against Rosado, but there was no crowd. And with me, I think Daniel Jacobs looking at that fight was thinking, right, fighting Gabe Rosado, this is going to be war. This is going to be hard work. And Rosado sort of opted to box, didn't put his foot on the gas. And I think Jacobs thought, do you know what? I was expecting a hard night. You don't get many touches. I might just coast this, and he did. He did exactly that. So I'm not judging Daniel Jacobs too much on that fight. But going back to John Ryder, he's pumped for this. I think he's as complete as he will ever be. He's got that experience against Callum Smith. He feels he should be a world champion. He takes a lot of confidence from that. He's in peak physical condition, working with Dan Lawrence, obviously Tony Sims, and this is his time. If he's ever going to beat Daniel Jacobs, it's now.
Darren, what do you actually expect to see from this fight come Saturday night then? How are you anticipating it playing out?
Well, me and Chris done a tactics show for DAZN, and we did a bit of research. We looked at the pros and cons, etc., for both fighters and reoccurring patterns. And look, for me, Daniel Jacobs, when he is on form, he's a very, very hard man to beat. An exceptional fighter. Switches, I think a lot of people are not aware that he actually switches. He does it. He's so subtle with his movement. The way he switches from orthodox to southpaw is so class. I think there's a shot that John needs to watch out for, and it was the best shot that Jacobs caught Canelo with. He was in the southpaw stance. He threw a big looping left hand over the top, and John, sometimes he's guilty of dropping his right lead arm. So I think that's a shot he's got to look out for. But I think if you're Ryder, I don't know too much of the game plans. I've not asked, but you'd like to think it would be a case of John getting close, working away, go body first, work upstairs, and when he's there, be busy. I think you've got to remember, John's chasing his first world title, whereas Jacobs has won titles before. if it gets tough later on in the fights, will Jacobs want to match John for work rate? It's a big what if. I'm not saying that's the case, but I know how much John wants this. It's just how much does Jacobs want this? I mean, it's pretty obvious he's here, he's travelled to England, etc. But, you know, when it gets hard, it's quite easy to sort of say, do you know what, I've had a great career.
Away from John, Felix Cash, again, somebody else you know very well versus Madiev. What are you expecting in that one? And Felix is looking towards that world scene as how important is it, provided he comes through unscathed. I don't know, with that win, he looks good doing so.
Look, he looked amazing against Denzel, didn't he, Bentley? Some thought that was a 50-50 fight, was going to be tough. He just absolutely steamrolled him. Look, I think the middleweight division is starting to look for its next stars. Golovkin, etc., all coming to the end of their careers. You couldn't rule Felix Cash out of being a next star in the division. He's very talented, works extremely hard with Tony, and he's got that fire in his eyes and his belly that makes him very exciting. Sometimes you think, just calm down, you don't go too mad, and he'll hurt his opponent, and he's a tremendous finisher. So I feel we'll get through Madiev, who's a good fighter, by the way. He's tough, he's awkward, he's got a good amateur pedigree. Only the two draws on his record, otherwise a flawless resume. But I feel Felix is too good for him. Madiev opens the guard up a bit too wide, so watch out for the uppercut from Felix Cash.
Darren, would you call it Eubank Jr-Benn or Ben Eubank Jr.?
Good question. I mean, I'm going to go with Ben. Ben.
What have you made of, obviously, on the back of Eubank's win versus Liam Williams this past weekend? Connor's come out and said, catch weight, he's up for it. Do you anticipate it's a fight we could see any time in the near future? Connor said to me that they've had some form of talks. How deep they are, I don't know, but that's what he said.
Look, I mean, if you go and buy Connor and Eubank, they both fancy it. It's a huge fight. It's the next gen fight. Both legendary dads that have done so well in boxing, household names. I'd love to see it. But it's like Conor Benn's on his way, isn't he, to event? He's close to fighting for a welterweight world title. You couldn't say he's too far away. So does he sidestep that to get this big all English domestic dust up? I mean, I think you've got to chase the world titles first. Go down that road. He's done so well getting where he is and getting in the position he's at. So I expect him to go on that path. But if that fight was to seriously present itself to Conor and Chris, it'd be very hard to turn down.
Outside of, say, Fury AJ and arguably Khan-Brook, because of a history of the families, is that the next biggest fight which you could make in British boxing?
Yeah, I'd say so. You put me on a spot though, but with the names, yeah, I mean, imagine it would sell out any arena in the country.
Okay, moving away from that, just get your thoughts on the heavyweight scene. Obviously, a couple of weeks ago, we saw the biggest purse bids in boxing history take place, where Tyson Fury, Dillian Whyte, which was successfully picked up by Frank Warren and Bob Arum. Just get your thoughts on that, and obviously Dillian's silence since that as well.
Well, I just think, starting with Dillian, I think it shows his intent and his. He's just getting himself in the right place. Doesn't have to be on social media all the time. I think we get in a habit of just posting for the sake of it. And I think Dillian wants to knuckle down and get to work and sort of go under the radar a little bit. On the flip side, Tyson's brilliant with social media. As always, he's not afraid to say what he's thinking. Look, I hope the fight happens. I hope all of these fights happen. I want to see everyone in with the lot. Fair play for AJ fighting Usyk again. I would have stepped aside. We're getting paid that to do nothing. But yeah, it's great that the heavyweight division is bubbling nicely. Just hope these fights get made. When there's as much money floating about as there is these days, they usually do get made.
What is your thoughts on Fury-Whyte, provided it does all go ahead?
I mean, look, you have Fury as a massive favourite in that. I think his movement, his agility, his punching power now, and his belief in his size and strength we see that, didn't we, against Wilder in the last 2 fights, just really believing in his size and presence and power. So he's literally got everything, and it's very hard to go against a man that's never lost. So he would go in there a big favourite, but Dillian Whyte, he believes he's got the power in that left hand to upset Tyson Fury. It's a good fight. It's a good fight. You know, a lot of people can rubbish it and say, "Oh, look, it's a ridiculous fight." They're still going to watch it.
Final one, Darren, just before I let you go. Next weekend, Khan-Brook, it's finally come around. What are your thoughts? How do you expect to see it play?
I'm going as a fan. I'm sitting in the stands. Looking forward to it. I mean, look, it happened 7 years too late or whatever, but it's still a fight I want to see. I struggle to pick a winner, if I'm honest. There's always that timing beats speed, etc. So that would favour Kell. I feel he has a better timing. Khan definitely has a hand speed, but sometimes gets a bit greedy, throws 3s, 4s, 5s, and falls over the front foot and becoming vulnerable. But he's very, very hard to match when it comes to work rate and speed. So it's a brilliant fight. It's a toss of a coin, in my opinion.
Mr. Darren Barker, former IBF World Champion. Thank you for speaking to me in Boxing Social.
Nice one, mate.